The vibrant streets of Portland buzzed with excitement during the annual art festival. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, mingling with the laughter and chatter of festival-goers. I wandered through the Pearl District, feeling a sense of yearning that had become all too familiar in my life. My marriage had slipped into a routine that left me feeling invisible, as if I were merely a shadow drifting through the days. As I strolled past galleries showcasing local artists, my heart ached for acknowledgement. My husband seemed distant, lost in his own world of work and obligations. Conversations between us had dwindled to mundane exchanges about groceries and schedules. The emotional distance was suffocating, leaving me craving connection in any form. At one booth, a local photographer displayed stunning portraits that captured raw emotion. Each image told a story, drawing me in deeper with every glance. I stood transfixed by one photograph of an elderly couple holding hands, their eyes glistening with love and understanding. A pang of envy struck me. I longed for that kind of intimacy. Beautiful work, I murmured to myself as I admired the details. Thanks. It's all about capturing moments, came a voice from behind me. I turned to find my stepson standing there, camera slung over his shoulder. He had always shown an interest in photography but had recently taken it more seriously. His passion radiated from him like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Hey! Are you enjoying the festival?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "It's inspiring," I replied, forcing a smile despite my inner turmoil. "You've been busy with your photography?" "Yeah. I've been trying new techniques," he said excitedly. "Want to see some of my recent work?" A flicker of interest ignited within me. "Sure," I said softly. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through images he'd captured, landscapes bathed in golden light, candid shots of people lost in thought, and striking portraits that seemed to leap off the screen. Each photo reflected not just talent but also a deep understanding of emotion. "This is amazing," I said genuinely, feeling a connection spark between us amidst the chaos around us. "Thanks. Maybe we could collaborate sometime," he suggested casually. The idea hung in the air between us like an unspoken promise. A collaboration could offer an escape from my mundane reality, a chance to explore creativity and perhaps rediscover parts of myself long buried beneath layers of routine and obligation. "I'd love that," I replied before even considering the implications. As we continued talking about photography techniques and artistic visions, laughter flowed easily between us. In those moments, it felt as though we were two artists united by our shared passion rather than stepson and stepmother bound by societal expectations. The thrill of this newfound connection sent shivers down my spine, a blend of excitement and trepidation coursing through me. But as dusk settled over the city, reality crept back into focus like shadows lengthening on the pavement. Thoughts of my husband loomed large. How would he react if he knew about our budding collaboration? Guilt gnawed at my insides even as hope flickered like a candle flame within me. That evening at home felt different yet familiar. Dinner was quiet except for the clinking of silverware against plates as we ate our meal together, my husband fixated on his phone while I pushed food around on my plate absent-mindedly. The distance felt palpable again, words hung heavy in the air but never surfaced. "Are you okay?" he finally asked without looking up from his screen. "Just tired," I responded quickly before turning back to my food, suppressing any urge to delve deeper into our disconnect. Later that night as I lay awake staring at the ceiling above me, thoughts raced through my mind like wild horses galloping free. Could this collaboration lead somewhere meaningful? Or was it merely an escape from loneliness? The questions spiraled until sleep finally claimed me under its weighty embrace. Days passed since our encounter at the festival, anticipation built within me like pressure behind a dam waiting to burst forth. We began planning our first photo shoot together, a chance for creative expression and emotional exploration wrapped up in one enticing package filled with risk yet brimming with potential connection. The day arrived bright and clear. Excitement coursed through my veins as we met at a local park teeming with vibrant colors from blooming flowers juxtaposed against lush greenery, a perfect backdrop for capturing moments together amidst nature's beauty. As we set up equipment under dappled sunlight filtering through branches overhead, laughter erupted freely between us, each click of the camera shutter capturing not just images but fragments of joy shared between two souls seeking something more than mere companionship or familial ties could provide alone. "Let's try something different," he suggested suddenly after reviewing some initial shots on his camera display screen, the thrill evident in his voice sparking curiosity within me once again about where this journey might lead us both creatively and personally too, perhaps? I nodded eagerly while adjusting angles for better lighting, our bodies moving closer together instinctively as we focused intently on creating art rather than acknowledging unspoken boundaries lurking just beneath surface tensions surrounding us both now. Each moment felt electric, charged with possibility yet tinged lightly by guilt lingering nearby, reminding me constantly about what lay beyond this fleeting experience shared only between us two here today. Then suddenly it happened. A moment captured forever, etched into memory when our gazes locked briefly before instinct propelled forward without hesitation, leading lips meeting softly amid swirling emotions swirling around us both like leaves caught up dancing upon autumn wind, stirring everything into chaos once more. But just as quickly as it began, the moment dissipated, leaving behind only echoes reverberating throughout space, separating us once again. The weightiness settling heavily upon shoulders, weighed down by realization over what transpired between two people who should never have crossed such lines drawn across lives lived differently outside these fleeting moments spent together now. As shadows lengthened across grassy fields signaling day's end approaching rapidly, I couldn't shake feeling something significant shifted within both hearts, entwined today, forever changed after sharing this experience together. Yet looming overhead remained unanswered questions lingering still unanswered. What would happen next? Would we dare explore further beyond boundaries set forth previously? Or retreat back safely into lives lived separately once more, never daring venture forth again, risking everything already gained thus far? With uncertainty clouding future ahead, I took deep breath, inhaling deeply, hoping clarity would come soon enough before decisions made irrevocably altered paths, forever changing lives intertwined now. The camera clicked, capturing moments that felt both fleeting and eternal. Each frame held a story, a glimpse into emotions we rarely shared outside the confines of our secret sessions. The studio was a sanctuary, filled with soft light and shadows that danced across the walls. I watched as he adjusted the lens, his focus intense yet playful. "Let's try something different today," he suggested, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "How about we shoot outside? The park has great light this time of day." The idea excited me. Fresh air and natural sunlight would invigorate our creative process. But unease settled in my stomach at the thought of being seen together, too close, too intimate. Society had rules, and we were about to break them. "Sure," I replied, forcing a smile. "Let's do it." Once outside, the world felt alive around us. The laughter of children playing nearby mingled with the rustle of leaves in the wind. We found a secluded spot beneath an ancient oak tree, its branches stretching protectively over us like a canopy. As we began to pose for each other, I felt an electric connection sparking between us. "Hold that pose," he instructed gently, stepping back to frame his shot. I complied, trying to channel confidence despite my racing heart. Each click of the shutter sent shivers down my spine, as if he were capturing not just my image but fragments of my soul. "Your eyes tell a story," he remarked casually while reviewing the photos on his camera screen. I chuckled lightly, brushing off the compliment even as warmth spread through me. "Just trying to keep up with your talent." But our banter faded as silence enveloped us momentarily. It was heavy with unspoken words and desires simmering beneath the surface. I shifted nervously but didn't break eye contact. There was something undeniably magnetic about him, an allure I couldn't resist any longer. Suddenly, he stepped closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that sent chills through me. "You're more than just a subject to me." Before I could process his words or respond, he leaned in and kissed me softly, a tentative brush of lips that ignited everything inside me. It felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I was teetering on the edge of an abyss filled with risk and passion. The kiss deepened briefly before reality crashed back in like cold water splashing against my skin. Panic surged through me as I pulled away slightly. "What are we doing?" My voice trembled slightly. "We're exploring," he replied simply, searching my eyes for understanding. "Exploring?" The word hung between us like an uninvited guest at our secret gathering, a reminder of how precarious this all was. "I can't." My heart raced at what lay ahead if we continued down this path, if anyone found out what had just happened. His gaze softened but remained unwavering. "We can keep it art if we want." Art? Was that all it was? An exploration through photography? Or had it become something far more complex? As much as I wanted to retreat into safety, into my role as a mother figure, I also craved this connection that had blossomed unexpectedly between us during our creative endeavors. "We should focus on the shoot," I said finally, trying to regain composure while feeling breathless from what had just transpired. "Right." He nodded slowly but didn't move away completely. There remained an unspoken tension lingering in the air around us. We resumed taking pictures under that oak tree, my mind racing with thoughts of boundaries crossed and consequences looming on the horizon like dark clouds threatening rain. Each click became both exhilarating and suffocating, a dance between desire and guilt played out in front of our lenses. As hours passed by in what felt like mere moments, laughter returned alongside creativity flowing freely again, yet shadows loomed larger than before, the weightiness of secrets pressing down upon us both heavily now. Eventually, we packed up our gear and headed back toward home, the silence stretching between us filled only by distant sounds from passers-by enjoying their day in Portland's vibrant streets. "Can we do this again?" he asked hesitantly as we reached my car parked alongside bustling coffee shops filled with patrons sipping lattes under colorful umbrellas shielding them from sunbeams breaking through clouds above. I don't know, a part of me wanted desperately to say yes, to feel alive again amidst chaos, but fear gripped tightly around my heart like an iron vice squeezing tighter with every moment passing by without resolution or clarity regarding what lay ahead for us both should this continue further down uncertain paths already paved by choices made thus far. And yet there lingered hope too, hope for something more than mere existence trapped within walls built from expectations long since forgotten along life's journey taken together until now. "Let's take it one step at a time," I finally replied softly after moments stretched long enough allowing thoughts swirling inside head settle slightly into clarity once more despite uncertainty still surrounding everything unfolding around us now, all leading toward unknown destinations waiting patiently just out reach beyond grasp right here right now. That evening brought reflection as shadows crept across familiar landscapes. The Portland skyline bathed in hues reflecting twilight settling upon city streets below where dreams mingled together alongside struggles faced daily by countless others just trying navigate lives lived fully amidst chaos swirling around them constantly, challenging boundaries set forth long ago. As night fell deeper into darkness enveloping everything around me, I found solace within memories captured earlier during our photo session. Images flickered through mind replaying moments shared between two souls yearning connect despite societal norms attempting dictate otherwise. But lurking behind those beautiful memories lay guilt, a reminder reminding me constantly choices made could lead down treacherous paths filled uncertainty waiting patiently just beyond horizon beckoning quietly urging forward recklessly toward unknown futures lying ahead waiting silently ready pounce upon. Unsuspecting hearts longing escape confines built around them forevermore. The gallery buzzed with life, filled with whispers and laughter that echoed off the walls adorned with vibrant art. Each piece told a story, yet none resonated as deeply as the images we had crafted together. I stood at the edge of the crowd, my heart racing as I watched people admire our work, my work, with him. There was an undeniable thrill in seeing our photographs displayed, but also an undercurrent of dread that threatened to pull me under. I glanced around, searching for him among the sea of faces. The excitement in the air felt electric, but my mind was clouded with anxiety. What if someone noticed? What if someone connected the dots? The thought of exposure sent a chill down my spine. Yet, there was a part of me that thrived on this risk, on this exhilarating dance between light and shadow. As I stepped closer to one of our pieces, a striking portrait that captured vulnerability and strength, I felt a presence beside me. He stood there, his eyes filled with admiration as he took in the image we had created together. The warmth radiating from his body was intoxicating, and for a fleeting moment, the world around us faded away. "Can you believe it?" he asked softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "People actually like it." I smiled, feeling a rush of pride mixed with something deeper, something more intimate. "It's beautiful," I replied, my gaze locked on his. In that moment, surrounded by strangers and art alike, our lips met. It was a brief connection, a spark igniting amidst uncertainty, but it left me breathless. The thrill of being seen and desired surged through me like wildfire. I pulled away quickly, glancing around to ensure no one had noticed our fleeting moment of intimacy. "What are we doing?" I whispered urgently, my heart pounding in my chest. He looked at me with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice low and earnest. "But it feels right." The gravity of our situation weighed heavily upon us both. We were standing on a precipice, one misstep could send us tumbling into chaos. Yet here we were, caught up in the thrill of creation and connection. As guests continued to admire our work, I felt both exhilarated and terrified by the attention we were receiving. Conversations flowed around us about inspiration and technique, yet beneath those discussions lay an unspoken tension that simmered just below the surface. "I can't stop thinking about how this all started," he said suddenly, breaking through my swirling thoughts. I nodded slowly, memories flooded back to those initial moments spent capturing light together, moments filled with laughter and shared dreams that had morphed into something far more complex than either of us could have anticipated. "Neither can I admitted quietly." The evening wore on as people mingled around us. Some approached to compliment our work while others engaged in animated discussions about art trends in Portland's vibrant scene. Yet amidst all this chatter lay an unsettling awareness: I was still married, he was still my stepson. These truths loomed over us like dark clouds threatening rain at any moment. Suddenly feeling overwhelmed by the weight of it all, I excused myself from the group under the pretense of needing fresh air. Outside in the cool night breeze, I leaned against a nearby wall and inhaled deeply, the crisp air grounding me amid swirling emotions. A few moments later, he joined me outside. His presence felt both comforting and dangerous all at once. "You okay?" he asked gently. "Not really," I confessed softly. "This is all too much." He stepped closer, concern etched across his features as he searched for answers within my eyes. A connection forged through shared secrets and unspoken desires hung thickly between us like fog rolling over Portland's streets at dawn. "What do you want?" he asked after a brief silence filled only by distant laughter from inside the gallery. The question struck me hard. What did I want? My marriage had become a series of routines devoid of passion or warmth, a hollow shell where emotional neglect reigned supreme while longing festered quietly within me like an unattended wound yearning for healing. My voice faltered. Words tangled within my throat like vines choking out sunlight from reaching their source below ground level where roots intertwined beneath layers soil buried deep beneath surface chaos above them all fighting desperately survive against odds stacked high against them ever finding peace again. Before I could finish my thought or even grasp its true meaning fully enough, articulate clearly enough, without hesitation creeping into every syllable, escaping lips, forming shapes, expressing feelings trapped inside, waiting patiently, release themselves finally into open air, surrounding them here today, now, forevermore. But then came an unexpected interruption. Laughter followed by footsteps approaching swiftly behind us interrupted intimate moment shared between two souls desperately seeking solace, found only each other's company amidst turmoil raging within hearts longing escape confines built around them forevermore. Turning slightly toward sound approaching quickly behind us, it was my husband. His face flushed with anger as he locked eyes onto both figures standing close together outside gallery entrance, illuminated brightly under streetlights, casting long shadows stretching out across pavement below. "What's going on here?" His voice boomed angrily, cutting through atmosphere thickened tension hanging heavily above heads like storm clouds ready unleash fury upon unsuspecting world lying beneath them, unaware danger lurking just beyond horizon, waiting patiently strike when least expected. Time froze for an instant before reality crashed down upon us, everything we'd built together. The photographs showcasing raw emotion captured through lenses opened wide, revealing truths hidden deep within layers, carefully constructed facades shielding vulnerabilities exposed, now laid bare before prying eyes demanding answers, no longer able hide behind masks worn so comfortably until now. The air in the gallery was electric, charged with unspoken questions and the weight of exposed secrets. I stood frozen, my heart racing, feeling the stares of the crowd piercing through me like arrows. Each whisper and murmur felt like a judgment, a reminder of the precarious line I had walked into this moment. My husband's voice echoed in my mind, a stark contrast to the artistic expressions that surrounded us. "What's going on here?" His words hung in the air, a thunderclap amidst the vibrant colors of our work. The photographs, our photographs, now felt like a double-edged sword. They were beautiful representations of our shared moments, but also stark reminders of the betrayal that had unfolded behind their creation. As I turned to my stepson, his expression mirrored my turmoil, confusion mixed with fear. This wasn't just about art anymore, it was about us and everything we'd risked. I could see him grappling with the weight of our choices, his youthful face suddenly aged by reality. The passion we had shared during those intimate sessions now seemed overshadowed by guilt and impending consequences. "Why did you do this?" he asked softly, his voice barely above a whisper but heavy with accusation. "I didn't mean for it to happen," I replied, my own voice trembling as I attempted to navigate this labyrinth of emotions. "I just wanted to feel something again." He looked away, his gaze drifting toward the crowd that continued to murmur and point at our work, a collection of vulnerability captured through lenses that had once brought us closer together. Now they served as reminders of how far we had strayed from what was right. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming urge to escape, to flee from this gallery filled with prying eyes and judgmental whispers. But where could I go? The world outside felt just as unforgiving as the one within these walls. "We spent the night together," I murmured under my breath, recalling not just the physical intimacy but also the emotional connection we had forged during those hours wrapped in each other's presence. It was a sanctuary from my reality, one that now threatened to crumble around us. As if sensing my turmoil, he took a step closer, lowering his voice further. "What does this mean for us? For your marriage?" I shook my head slowly, unable to provide clarity amidst my own confusion. The lines between right and wrong had blurred in ways I never anticipated. My husband's suspicions were growing, he sensed something was off long before tonight's revelation. "I don't know," I admitted finally, feeling tears threaten to spill over. "I thought, maybe we could create something beautiful together." "Beautiful," he echoed incredulously, glancing back at our photographs where emotions danced across frames filled with laughter and longing, each image now tainted by betrayal. The crowd continued to shift around us like restless waves crashing against rocks, their whispers becoming louder as they speculated about what lay beneath our artful facade. Some admired our work while others cast judgmental glances filled with disdain. The tension in my chest tightened painfully as I caught sight of my husband near the entrance, his expression darkening as he scanned the room for me, and for him. A part of me wanted to run into his arms and explain everything, another part wanted to hide away from both men who held pieces of my heart yet understood none of it. "Maybe we should talk somewhere private," he suggested cautiously after sensing my turmoil deepening. Before I could respond or even process what that meant for us moving forward, another figure emerged from the crowd, a friend who had been supportive throughout this journey but now looked unsure how to react upon witnessing this unfolding drama. "What's happening here?" she asked hesitantly as she approached us. "We're just discussing art," I replied quickly, desperate for an excuse that wouldn't expose our truth further than it already had been. Her eyes darted between us before landing back on me with concern etched across her features. "You both look like you've seen ghosts." I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes while internally battling waves of guilt crashing over me again and again like relentless tides seeking shorelines eroded by storms long past. "Just some family matters," he interjected smoothly despite tension lacing his tone, a hint at how fragile everything truly was beneath surface-level interactions cloaked in artistic pretenses. But before any more words could be exchanged or explanations offered up like sacrificial lambs awaiting judgment day at an altar built from shattered dreams and misplaced desires, my husband stepped forward into view fully now. His presence commanded attention almost immediately, silencing whispers swirling around us into hushed anticipation akin to holding breath before diving deep underwater where light barely penetrated darkness below. "Enough." His voice cut through uncertainty like a knife slicing through layers upon layers, covering truths hidden too long beneath polished exteriors adorned with smiles, masking deeper pains lurking inside hearts yearning for connection yet terrified by consequences awaiting them, should they dare venture too close. The room seemed to hold its breath along with me as he continued speaking. "You think you can parade your infidelity under the guise of art? You think people won't notice?" I felt heat rising within me, not just embarrassment but anger too, at how easily he dismissed everything we'd created together while standing there judging without understanding anything beyond surface-level appearances crafted carefully over years spent nurturing relationships built on lies instead honesty. "This isn't just about you," shouted Stepson, suddenly breaking silence erupting forth from shadows cast aside by fear moments ago, gripping him tightly until now finally unleashed fury pent up inside, aching heart-yearning validation lost amongst chaos surrounding them both. "It's about what we created. What we shared." A palpable silence enveloped us following those words. A heavy weight pressing down, suffocating all attempts at rational discourse, left hanging midair unresolved lingering questions demanding answers no one knew how provide without risking everything, already teetering precariously close edge cliff threatening plunge into abyss. Below waiting patiently devour souls lost seeking solace amid tumultuous seas raging wild beyond control. And then came realization crashing down hard. Nothing would ever be same again after tonight. Not relationships nor identities nor futures envisioned once upon time when dreams still sparkled brightly untainted by shadows lurking ever closer ready strike when least expected. What would happen next? Would love triumph over betrayal? Or would secrets unravel everything, leaving only remnants behind scattered across broken paths leading nowhere worth traveling ever again? The silence in my home grew heavier, like a thick fog that refused to lift. Each morning, I would wake up next to him, the man I once loved fiercely, and yet now felt like a stranger. The weight of my secret sat on my chest, making it hard to breathe. He noticed the change in me, the way I smiled less and stared out the window more often, lost in thoughts that were no longer about us. I tried to be normal, to engage in our mundane routines. Breakfast was a silent affair. He read the news while I sipped coffee, pretending to care about world events when my mind was elsewhere. The tension between us was palpable. My heart raced at every question he posed about my day or who I had been with lately. "Are you okay?" he asked one morning, his brow furrowed with concern. Just tired, I replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a grimace. As the days passed, guilt gnawed at me relentlessly. The moments spent behind the lens with my stepson felt like an escape from reality, an intoxicating blend of creativity and connection that left me yearning for more. Each shoot brought us closer together, each click of the shutter captured not just images but pieces of ourselves we had long hidden away. But then came the confrontation. It was a Thursday evening when he returned home earlier than usual. I had just finished editing some photos from our last session, images that held so much meaning for me but would shatter everything if seen by the wrong eyes. He walked into the living room without warning as I hastily closed my laptop. "What are you hiding?" he asked sharply, his voice cutting through the air. "Nothing," I stammered, heart racing as panic surged within me. He stepped closer, his expression shifting from concern to suspicion. "You've been different lately." I could feel the walls closing in around me. My pulse quickened as memories flooded back, the laughter we shared during shoots, our whispered secrets beneath dim lights as we explored new angles and perspectives together. "Maybe I'm just trying to find myself again," I said defensively. He crossed his arms, challenging me with his gaze. "Is that what this is? Finding yourself? Because it feels like you're slipping away." His words struck deep. It was true, I felt lost, adrift in a sea of unfulfilled desires and unspoken truths. But did he really want to know what lay beneath? Did he want to peel back those layers only to find betrayal? "I'm here," I insisted weakly. "And where is here?" His voice softened slightly but remained firm. "Because it doesn't feel like home anymore." The floodgates opened then. Emotions poured out as tears streamed down my cheeks unbidden. "I don't know. Everything feels wrong." He stepped forward and pulled me into an embrace that felt foreign yet familiar all at once, a fleeting reminder of what we once shared before shadows crept in and clouded our connection. "You need to talk to me," he urged gently. But how could I? How could I share pieces of my heart that had become entangled with someone else's? The thought alone sent shivers down my spine as shame washed over me like ice-cold water. In that moment of vulnerability, something caught my eye, a small envelope peeking out from beneath a stack of papers on the coffee table. My breath hitched as recognition flooded back. It was an old love letter from him, a relic from our early days filled with promises and dreams we once shared so passionately. I picked it up cautiously and opened it, reading words that echoed through time. "My love for you grows deeper every day." As those words danced before me, memories rushed back, moments filled with laughter and hope before life's burdens dulled our spark. Yet now they felt tainted by everything else that had transpired since then, the secret sessions filled with stolen glances and heated exchanges. "I found this," I said quietly while holding up the letter for him to see. His expression shifted from concern to nostalgia as he took it from my hands gently. "I remember writing this. It feels like another lifetime," I whispered softly. He nodded slowly, eyes clouded with emotion as memories flickered across his face, reminders of who we used to be before distance crept into our lives like an unwelcome guest. "What happened between us?" he asked finally. I hesitated. How could one answer such a question without revealing everything? "Life got busy. We stopped trying. But we can try again." His voice held desperation mixed with hope, a plea for reconciliation amidst chaos threatening to consume us both whole. "I don't know if we can go back," I admitted softly, feeling torn between two worlds, one filled with love yet marred by neglect, another vibrant yet fraught with danger lurking just beneath its surface waiting for exposure. The silence stretched between us until finally breaking under pressure building within me. I needed clarity amidst confusion swirling around like autumn leaves caught in wind gusts spiraling out of control. "I'm sorry," slipped past my lips almost involuntarily before taking a step back away from him, the distance growing wider even though part of me longed for closeness again despite knowing consequences lingering close behind ready strike when least expected. Suddenly realizing how vulnerable this moment truly was left me questioning everything. Could love triumph over betrayal? Or would secrets unravel everything leaving only remnants scattered across broken paths leading nowhere worth traveling ever again? With trembling hands still clutching onto memories etched within faded pages filled with promises unkept, I faced an uncertain future ahead where choices made today would echo loudly tomorrow, reverberating through lives intertwined forever, altered by decisions taken under duress amidst shadows creeping ever closer. The weight of the impending confrontation pressed heavily on my chest as I stood in the dim light of my kitchen, heart racing. The cool tiles beneath my feet contrasted sharply with the heat rising from within, fueled by a mix of fear and anticipation. My husband had been distant lately, his gaze lingering too long on the screen of his phone, and now I couldn't shake the feeling that he had stumbled upon something he shouldn't have. When I heard the front door open, I instinctively straightened up, smoothing my hair back and trying to appear composed. He walked in, a shadow of his former self, eyes clouded with an emotion I couldn't quite place. The air thickened with unspoken words, and every second stretched out like an eternity. "Hey," he said, voice low and steady. "We need to talk." Those 4 words sent a shiver down my spine. I nodded, biting my lip as he stepped closer. "Is everything all right?" I asked, forcing the words out despite the knot tightening in my throat. He hesitated before replying, "I found something." My heart sank as dread settled over me like a heavy blanket. "What did you find?" He pulled out his phone and swiped through images until he stopped at one, the video from our last shoot. The intimacy captured in that moment was palpable even through the screen. My breath caught as I recognized our shared laughter and soft glances that spoke volumes more than words ever could. "You think this is art?" His voice trembled with anger and disbelief. "It's not what you think," I managed to say, though deep down I knew it was futile. The truth hung between us like a chasm too wide to bridge. "Not what I think?" He scoffed. "You're sharing these moments with him while you've been neglecting everything we built together." With each accusation, my heart cracked further under pressure. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," I pleaded softly. "Then how did it happen?" His eyes bore into mine with a mixture of hurt and betrayal that left me reeling. "It started innocently enough, just photography," I began but faltered under his gaze. "He has talent. We connected creatively." "That's all it was? Creativity?" His tone dripped with sarcasm. "No. It became more than that." My voice trailed off as shame washed over me. I could see him processing this revelation. Shock morphed into anger before settling into something colder, disappointment. "You betrayed me." "I didn't mean to hurt you," I whispered, tears pricking at the corners of my eyes. "Did you even think about how this would affect us? What about everything we've built?" His voice rose slightly before he took a deep breath to calm himself. "I thought about it constantly." A wave of desperation surged within me. "But there's been so much distance between us. You've been so absorbed in your work. And that justifies your actions? You think running away into the arms of your stepson is an answer?" I flinched at his words. They cut deeper than any knife could have. My mind raced through memories of laughter shared over coffee cups and late-night conversations that had once filled our home with warmth now felt like ghosts haunting me. I wanted to feel alive again, I admitted quietly, finally allowing myself to be vulnerable in front of him after so long hiding behind walls built from silence. His expression softened momentarily before hardening again like steel forged under pressure. "You're going to regret this." The finality in his tone sent chills down my spine as realization settled in. There was no turning back now. Our lives were irrevocably altered by choices made in moments of weakness. As if sensing my turmoil, he stepped back slightly, creating physical space between us, a reflection of the emotional distance that had grown over time but never quite reached this breaking point until now. What do we do now? My voice trembled as uncertainty loomed overhead like dark clouds gathering before a storm. He shook his head slowly as if contemplating whether or not he should share what was next on his mind. A decision weighed down by years spent together yet shattered by betrayal so profound it felt insurmountable at times like these when clarity eluded both of us entirely. "We'll figure it out," he finally said after what felt like ages passed silently between us before adding quietly, "But first, you should prepare yourself for what's coming." Before I could respond or ask for clarification on what exactly lay ahead, whether it would involve confrontation or perhaps even forgiveness, he turned away abruptly toward the door leading outside where shadows danced across its frame beckoning him onward into whatever fate awaited him beyond those walls we once called home together. The next few days unfolded like a slow-motion disaster. Whispers followed me everywhere. Friends expressing concern while others cast judgmental glances filled with pity tinged by curiosity about our unraveling story spilling forth across social circles faster than either one of us could contain it. Each encounter felt suffocating. Every smile exchanged masked layers upon layers of unspoken truths buried beneath surface pleasantries until they threatened to choke me completely if left unchecked much longer. And then came the fateful evening when everything changed once more. A gallery opening showcasing local talent beckoned me forth amidst familiar faces mingling around vibrant pieces hung carefully upon stark white walls illuminated by soft lighting meant to evoke inspiration rather than despair, but instead served only as reminders etched indelibly into memory banks filled with regretful choices made during fleeting moments lost forevermore beneath layers upon layers obscured by time passing. Relentlessly forward. I arrived early hoping perhaps some semblance normalcy might return if only for just one night spent surrounded by art rather than chaos. But fate had other plans waiting patiently behind closed doors readying itself for its grand reveal. The final act set into motion without warning. As soon as he entered, the stepson whose presence ignited flames long since buried, it became painfully clear nothing would remain untouched any longer. Curiosity sparked among guests soon turned into hushed conversations buzzing around us until eventually spiraling out beyond control while emotions ran high threatening eruption at any given moment. And then there it was, the moment everyone had anticipated arriving without invitation. My husband stood framed against light streaming through massive windows casting shadows across faces all around while holding up evidence against both parties involved. A printout revealing intimate details surrounding our secret life laid bare for all who dared look closer. Gasps echoed throughout crowded spaces filled with art lovers unaware their appreciation would soon turn towards judgmental scrutiny directed squarely toward those caught within tangled webs spun far too tightly together underneath glaring scrutiny shining bright enough. Ignite flames capable consuming everything once cherished leaving nothing behind but ashes scattered across broken paths leading nowhere worth traveling ever again. The gallery buzzed with an electric tension, the air thick with whispered judgments and sidelong glances. I stood at the edge of the crowd, a spectator to my own unraveling. My husband's voice echoed through the space, sharp and accusatory, as he laid bare the evidence of our secret life. The faces around me morphed from admiration to disbelief, their expressions shifting like shadows in the dim light. "Is this art?" he asked, holding up the printout for all to see. "Or is it something else entirely?" A murmur rippled through the attendees. I caught snippets of conversations, words like betrayal and disgrace floated around me, each one a dagger aimed directly at my heart. I wanted to shrink back into the wall, disappear into the very art I had once found solace in. Instead, I remained frozen in place, trapped by shame and fear. My stepson stood beside me, his expression unreadable. I could sense his turmoil, he was caught in a storm not of his making. The weight of our shared moments pressed heavily between us, a reminder of what had been and what could never be again. In that moment, we were no longer collaborators or confidants. We were two people exposed under harsh lights, vulnerable and raw. As my husband continued to speak, detailing our sessions as if they were crimes rather than creative expressions, I felt a flicker of anger rise within me. How dare he reduce our connection to mere scandal? Each photograph we had taken together held layers of meaning that no one else could see, the laughter shared between clicks of the shutter, the quiet understanding that passed between us as we captured fleeting moments. Art should provoke thought, he declared loudly. But this? This is just an exploitation of trust. His words cut deeper than any knife could. I turned away from him and faced the crowd instead, searching for a familiar face among strangers. Friends who had cheered for my work now looked on with pity or disdain. My heart raced as I spotted a couple who had once praised my artistic vision. Their eyes now reflected judgment rather than admiration. I took a step back, needing air to breathe amidst this suffocating scrutiny. The gallery felt like a cage closing in on me as voices rose and fell around me like waves crashing against rocks, some supportive but most critical. Why would she risk everything? Someone whispered nearby. Didn't she have enough? Another replied. I wanted to shout back that they didn't understand, that they couldn't possibly grasp how lost I had felt within my marriage or how desperately I'd sought connection through creativity. But words failed me, they stuck in my throat like stones. Instead, I turned toward the exit, a path leading away from judgment and towards uncertainty. But before I could escape into the night air outside, a hand gripped my arm gently yet firmly. I need to talk to you, my stepson said quietly but urgently. His eyes searched mine for understanding amidst chaos. He wasn't just my partner in art anymore, he was now entwined in this mess too. The weight of our choices pressed down on us both. I'm sorry, he continued softly, his voice barely above a whisper despite the noise around us. I never meant for it to go this far. I shook my head slowly. There was no point in placing blame now when we both knew how easily everything had spiraled out of control. We can't change what happened, I murmured back. But we can decide what happens next. His gaze was steady despite the turmoil raging within him. In that moment, something shifted between us, a flicker of solidarity amid public disgrace. We were both victims here but also participants in our own downfall. Do you think anyone will understand? I asked quietly as we stepped away from prying eyes into a quieter corner of the gallery where echoes softened into whispers. Some might, he replied thoughtfully. But it doesn't matter what they think anymore. I pondered his words while glancing back at where my husband stood surrounded by curious onlookers eager for more drama than art appreciation. Perhaps it didn't matter what others thought. Perhaps it was time for me to reclaim my narrative rather than let others dictate it for me. But just then, a sudden commotion interrupted my thoughts as someone shouted from across the room, "What's going on here?" A figure pushed through the throng, an old friend from college days who'd always been unafraid to speak her mind even when others hesitated. "What kind of twisted game are you playing?" she demanded loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear her accusation directed at both me and my stepson. Her words landed like blows against already bruised egos. They stung more than any whisper could have done alone because she was someone who once believed in me wholeheartedly before life led us down different paths filled with regret and missed opportunities. "I'm not playing games," I shot back defensively but quickly tempered by shame creeping back into focus again. The kind that wrapped itself tightly around your heart until breathing became difficult even when surrounded by friends turned enemies overnight without warning or reason why. The gallery's atmosphere shifted once more as whispers grew louder while eyes darted between us. My friend's fierce loyalty clashing against societal expectations meant only to bind women together, instead tearing them apart when faced with scandalous truths laid bare under bright lights illuminating every flaw all too clearly visible now. In that moment, caught between past friendships fraying at edges worn thin by time spent apart coupled with current judgments weighing heavily upon shoulders already burdened, I realized something essential. Reclaiming one's identity often requires confronting uncomfortable truths head-on rather than hiding behind facades carefully constructed over years spent avoiding pain whenever possible. I'll take responsibility for this, I finally said aloud after gathering enough courage despite trembling hands betraying lingering fears still gnawing away inside somewhere deep down beneath layers built up over decades spent trying desperately not just survive but thrive too. My stepson nodded slowly beside me, a silent agreement forming between two souls intertwined forevermore through choices made long ago leading us here today facing consequences neither anticipated nor wished upon ourselves even if some part secretly craved recognition regardless how twisted. Path taken led ultimately towards self-discovery albeit painful nonetheless. But before any further discussion could unfold about responsibility versus blame, my husband stepped forward again drawing attention once more towards himself asserting dominance over situations spiraling rapidly beyond control threatening engulf everything dear left behind if not handled delicately moving forward. We need to talk, he stated firmly yet quietly enough only those closest could hear him amid chaos swirling all around still refusing settle down completely leaving lingering uncertainty hanging thickly overhead like storm clouds ready unleash fury upon unsuspecting victims, caught unaware. And just like that, I stood at another crossroads unable predict outcome awaiting ahead uncertain whether future held promise redemption or merely continued descent into darkness lurking just beyond reach beckoning enticingly ever closer threatening swallow whole everything, cherished until nothing remained except silence echoing hauntingly throughout empty spaces left behind. The gallery buzzed with a mix of excitement and tension. I stood in the corner, my heart racing as I watched the crowd gather around the exhibit. My stepson's photographs adorned the walls, images that had once felt so intimate now displayed for all to see. The air was thick with judgment, whispers swirling like smoke around me. I had hoped that art could be a bridge between us, a way to express emotions that felt too dangerous to voice. But now, it felt more like a noose tightening around my neck. I could see my husband's expression shift as he navigated through the throng of admirers, his eyes scanning faces until they landed on me. The moment our gazes locked, something shifted in the atmosphere, an unspoken acknowledgement of everything that had transpired. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly, his voice low but filled with hurt. "I didn't think it would come to this," I replied, trying to keep my tone steady. His eyes narrowed slightly, disappointment etched into every line of his face. "You didn't think? Or you didn't care?" I opened my mouth to respond but found no words. The truth was complicated, it was messy and painful. I had sought connection in a place that had become both sanctuary and prison. As the crowd continued to admire the photographs, snippets of conversation reached my ears, a mix of praise and condemnation. How could she? What was she thinking? This is art? Each comment pierced deeper than any blade could. Then came the moment that would change everything. A friend approached me, her expression serious yet sympathetic. "You need to leave," she urged quietly. "It's not safe here for you." "What do you mean?" Panic bubbled up inside me. "People are talking," she said urgently, glancing around as if afraid someone might overhear. "Your husband, he's going to make a scene." Before I could respond, I caught sight of him moving toward my stepson across the room. My heart sank as I realized what was about to unfold, the culmination of secrets laid bare under unforgiving lights. "Hey! You," he called out sharply, drawing attention from those nearby. My stomach twisted as dread washed over me like ice water. I rushed forward through the crowd just as he reached my stepson, who stood frozen in shock. "What kind of sick joke is this?" he demanded loudly enough for everyone to hear. I pushed through bodies until I reached them, desperation driving me forward. "Stop. Please." He turned toward me then, fury blazing in his eyes. "You think this is just some artistic endeavor? This is our life." The murmurs intensified around us. People began pulling out their phones to capture what was unfolding before them, a spectacle born from our choices. "This isn't your place," my stepson finally spoke up defensively. "These are my photos. Your photos? Or our secret? My husband snapped back with venomous intensity. The crowd shifted uneasily as they absorbed the weight of his accusation, the implication hanging heavy in the air like an uninvited guest at a party gone wrong. I felt raw and exposed under their scrutiny. Every breath became an exercise in endurance against mounting shame spiraling within me. This isn't how it should be, I implored softly but firmly. Then how should it be? He shot back incredulously. Should we pretend everything's fine while you play house with him? No. The word escaped before I could temper it with reason or clarity. My stepson's face paled as realization dawned upon him, caught between two worlds colliding violently against one another without mercy or reprieve. I'm not playing house, he said quietly but resolutely, stepping closer to shield himself from the fallout radiating off both adults who were supposed to protect him instead of tearing each other apart in public view. But all at once, something shifted again. My husband's demeanor transformed from rage into something colder and more calculating as he surveyed the onlookers now fully engaged in our drama unfolding like some tragic play written by fate itself. I'll show everyone what you've been hiding, he declared ominously before turning away from us completely. The finality of his words echoing ominously through the gallery space filled with laughter just moments ago now turned into hushed whispers filled with judgmental tones aimed directly at me, no longer invisible but painfully exposed instead. In one swift motion, he grabbed his phone and began recording, a calculated move meant not only for evidence but also an act meant to humiliate us both further while ensuring everyone knew exactly what kind of person I had become in their eyes. Unworthy and unfit for love or respect. No. Panic surged through me again as I lunged forward instinctively trying to grab his arm, but it was too late. We were caught in this web spun by our own choices, unable to escape its grasp any longer despite desperate attempts made along this twisted path leading us here tonight under these unforgiving lights illuminating everything we wished remained hidden forevermore. The crowd gasped collectively at what they witnessed unfolding before them. My heart raced faster than ever before while realization settled heavy upon my chest. There would be no going back after tonight. Whatever shred remained intact would be stripped bare, leaving nothing behind except fragments scattered across this gallery floor where art met reality head-on without mercy or remorse. And then suddenly everything blurred together. The faces surrounding us morphed into indistinct shapes swirling around like ghosts haunting memories best left undisturbed. As my husband pressed record, I felt myself slipping away from reality into darkness where no light dared shine anymore. Standing at yet another crossroads, uncertain whether hope existed beyond this moment marked by pain etched deep within every fiber of who I thought myself to be.